Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome, if you hadn't already guessed, to another Sunday roast. The AliExpress is in full swing and there are some great deals on some great watches at the moment. I've already made a ton of sale specific content, so if you're thinking about picking something up, then do check out my other videos. The deals are out there, people. However, I think there are also some watches you should avoid like the plague, no matter how good the deals are, such as this nugget of a watch that I'm going to have a look at today. I get a lot of emails from AliExpress vendors asking me if I would like to review their watches, and I got an email about this watch roughly a month ago. I had a look at it and I had to do a double take because I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. And it's not just the printing on the dial today, this thing is a total Frankenstein's monster. They've taken elements from 4 or 5 different watches, put them all together and created what can only be described as a giant steaming turd of a watch. And it's a giant steaming turd that I paid $99 for the privilege of slating today. If you appreciate my efforts, I would appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Let's flip the camera and roast it. Okay, so it's normally at this point in the video that I would be like, hey, I'll leave a link in the description. If you want to pick yourself up one of these, click the link. There will be no link to this watch in the description of the video today. Instead, I will leave links to 3 $99 watches that I actually do recommend that you buy. I recommend that you buy pretty much anything apart from this one. It really is a stinker. I reckon they've crushed about 5 different watches at least into this one. See if you can call them before I do. Perhaps they couldn't work out which of the other brands to put on the watch packaging. We've just got a generic black, fairly uninspirational cardboard box. And what does it contain? Well, it's a fairly uninspirational watch, which is appropriate. So this one may be getting a roasting today, but for the sake of consistency, I cannot help myself. I just have to do dimensions and specifications first. I'll do it briefly. 41mm in diameter, 12.4mm thick, 47mm lug to lug, 20mm lug width, sized up for me, 7-inch wrist, 135 grams on the nose. That was brief, wasn't it? I would tell you about the water resistance rating, but I cannot find it specified in the listing at all, and it is not printed on the dial or on the case back of the watch, which again is not particularly confidence inspiring, is it? So I reckon I can count at least 5 watches smooshed all over this one. See if you can call them before I do, starting with the most obvious, number 1, the TAG Heuer Formula 1. It's pretty much a copy of the TAG Heuer Formula 1, certainly the bezel and the dial most clearly, but they've just not been able to resist themselves today, sticking about 4 other watches in there as well. That's a shame. I do like that tag and I do like the steel bezel. The steel bezel on this one, arguably one of the 2 highlights of the watch, even though the finish on the bezel does not match the finish on the case or anywhere else on the watch at all. It looks ridiculous. The second watch I think they've been inspired by today, perhaps unsurprisingly, is the Rolex Submariner. This watch has a 3-link oyster style bracelet with glide lock. I've not seen one of these on a watch that's clearly based not on a Rolex but on a tag. The bezel is okay, the glide lock is okay as well. It is one of those ones that's a kind of genuine attempt to copy the glide lock. Maybe I should take that back. Maybe it's not actually that alright. And it has a Rolex style case back as well. Those things generally a bit of a pain because you need a special tool to open them. Plus it's a really nasty thin case back. You can hear that high pitch. The entire watch has a really nasty tinny feel, and that case back is entirely responsible for that. And one more little nod to Rolex 904L. When I unboxed this one the other day, the bracelet was covered in these little protective stickers. I highly, highly doubt that is 904L stainless steel because it's more expensive to manufacture than 316L stainless steel. Now the third watch whose DNA is all over this one is the Citizen ProMaster. Now I don't know which specific model has the handset that matches the ones on this watch the best, but they're definitely Citizen. They've got that hour head, minute hand, the big cathedral hour hand, both with syringe tips, and the crown down there at 4 o'clock, another signature of many of the ProMaster range. Not quite sure where that paddle second hand came from though. If you can identify these from a specific Citizen, leave me a comment, let me know. But here's where it starts getting really bizarre. For some unknown reason, they've chosen to put the words Vostok Amphibia on the dial of something that is clearly most like a Tag Heuer. I just don't get what has been going on here at all. And they've even seemingly come up with their own logo, white with those kind of red circles. It's not a Vostok logo, it's not a Vostok Europe logo, so somebody has designed that. Again, what is going on with this watch? And last but not least, at number 5, I reckon there's a little bit of Seiko in here. They just couldn't resist themselves. They've borrowed the automatic script from the Seiko Sarb and many other Seikos. Except they didn't get that right either. It's a Sunday roast and epic dial typos combined. That says Automtic. This thing just keeps getting better and better. And I think this is one of those rare occurrences where a watch actually looks better when I show it from an angle. Outside under my macro lens there is that slightly incongruous stainless steel tag-esque bezel glinting gently in the Sydney sunshine. The reason it looks best from an angle is because when I show you it vertically, you begin to see how appallingly aligned the dial is. As if combining mismatched elements from 5 different watches and then calling it something it's not wasn't enough. It seems they've used a 2-piece dial here and not aligned the 2 pieces at all. That is Seiko standard, that is most impressive. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, there's the loom. I'll put a real-time clock up in the top left corner so you can see just how long this loom does not last today. Initially it looks okay, but when I turn the speed up and we get to about, I don't know, a minute 30, 2 minutes at most, it is gone. I have never seen a watch perform this badly after dark. But at least you got sapphire crystal and a Seiko NH35 for your $99, Jody. Except I didn't. It's mineral crystal and that's a Miyota 8215. Burn this thing with fire. I don't even think it's fit for the drawer of shame. I've got an old case that requires a Miyota 8215, conveniently a no date version so I can pull the date wheel off of it. I think I ought to pull this thing apart, put the majority of it in the bin, and at least give that Miyota a chance at a happy life, one that was denied to it when it ended up in the back of this monstrosity. So beware folks, there are a whole bunch of deals out there, but there are always the occasional traps for the unwary. Please don't fall into this one. Please don't end up standing on a turd. So there you have it, proof if ever it was needed that you can't just copy and paste bits and pieces of watches and make one cohesive design out of the parts. I can't believe they made something that they called a Vostok Amphibia that is not only worse than a Vostok Amphibia, but also more expensive than a Vostok Amphibia. That is quite a feat when you think about it. If you like this roast style of video, why not check out this one or this one? Thanks for making it to the bitter end, and it was bitter today, wasn't it? I hope to see you all again in a future video.